Good afternoon to those listening. This is going to be a recap of today's USDA quarterly stocks and acreage report. We are going to take a specific focus on Montana production here. Jumping into US acres as a whole, USDA had all wheat acres at 46 million. This was just slightly below their March estimate and slightly above average trade estimates. Specifically, winter wheat, they had a 33.7 million. This was 700,000 acres more than their March estimates, and as well as 700,000 more than average trade guesses as well. Spring wheat came in at 11.5 million. This was just slightly below March estimates and slightly above average trade estimates going into the report. And just touching on durum there, just about 1.5 million acres. This was a little bit below their March estimate of 1.54 and also slightly below average trade estimates going to the report. Zooming into Montana there specifically, top left we have winter wheat June acreage. That is 1.9 million acres, which is good for 350,000 more acres than last year, 2020. There in the bottom right, we have spring wheat acreage. 2.6 million acres is what we intend to plant of spring wheat, or what was planned of spring wheat this year. And that is 700,000 acres below what went in the ground last year. Taking a look at stocks here, the USDA had all wheat stocks at 844 million bushels. This was slightly below average trade estimates of closer to 860, but you can see there it is well below last year's June 1, 2020 stocks of just over 8 billion bushels. Zooming into Montana there, USDA pegged Montana at 56 million bushels of wheat and stocks. That is a solid 15 million bushels below where we are at June 1 of 2020. So this sent futures screaming higher today within minutes of the report. This is a 10-year chart of Minneapolis spring wheat futures. And as you can see today, September futures closed just shy of 850. This was a continuous chart there, but the point is we are approaching levels that we have not seen just for a touch there in 2017, but not consistently since the 2011 and 2012 years, approaching historic levels on spring wheat. As well as KC, you can see not quite as relatively historically high as spring wheat, as there is better production in some of the southern and eastern states, but still futures went screaming higher today on KC hard red winter as well. And just taking a quick look at weather going forward, as that is what trade is going to be digesting and trading here over the next few weeks until harvest starts. On the left, you can see precip there is not looking too great, as most of that green in Montana is 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch here over the next 5 days. And you can see temps there in the middle are well above average. It's signaled by the dark maroon and red areas throughout most of Montana. And there in the far right, you have percent chances of precipitation, which, as we saw in the far left chart, are not great here on the 5-day outlook. This is not exactly what you would want to see, given we had a hot and dry spring as well as start to summer. And as these wheats get into critical development stages, we will need a shift in forecast and get some rains to recoup at least some of the yield losses that we may have already seen. Thank you for listening, and hope you enjoyed this report and have a happy harvest.